Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Epokk and today I've got another Dragon Quest Builders 2 video for you guys. So I've been playing around a little bit with buttons, water wheels and magnetic blocks. Now what do those things have in common? Water wheels are actually the only objects that can actually interact with buttons on its own. So only players can normally use it, but water wheels also because they're constantly moving for somewhere. I think that's the reason, but I'm not really sure why. But anyway, so as you can see, this water wheel just keeps pushing that button below me, and that button is of course linked to this magnetic block, and this magnetic block is pulling, well, a lot of these are in a circle and they're constantly pulling a certain platform that you see in the top right corner right about now. You keep pulling that around this infinite circle. So this is actually something I really enjoy. I really like automating stuff, and magnetic blocks are one of my favorite things in the game. So I'll keep using them for elevators and hidden doors, like my Batcave entrance. And I'm really happy with how they work, but this actually just creates an entire new dimension. So you see this platform that just keeps going around the circle. The same thing over here, but with a platform that it's just an elevator that keeps working actually. So below you have the water wheel, just keeps pushing the puller and the pusher, and this platform just keeps going up and down on its own. That's my Japanese house over there, and by the way, and that's the haunted house, of course. So yeah, it's just something I really enjoy playing around with. Now let me just really quickly show you how to make this thing work. So what you're gonna need is just 2 blocks. You have to put a button on top of it. Now you have to put a button on this at this height, otherwise it doesn't work. If you put it lower, it won't work. I think even if you put it higher, it won't even work either. So always just do it like exactly like this, and then you put a water wheel against it. So this water wheel has to be 1 block away from the blocks. So because of course the button actually takes an entire square, so for that reason you can't put it against it. And then we need to link something to the button so we actually know that's working. So let's just place this, what is it, a puller? And then let's just place some magnetic blocks for it to pull over here. Perfect. And then let's just place some blocks over here. I'm just gonna keep this little space. I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger on this side because I need to be able to fill it with water, of course. Now let's just immediately fill this with water so the water wheel starts moving, and then after a little while we should see this button move. There we go. So that's pretty much the entire system actually. So every now and then the button will get pushed by the water wheel, and that will make the puller pull stuff. So that's pretty much the same system over here. So we have this water wheel just pushing the buttons, and this puller keeps doing. Now I have this set up about, we haven't counted, let's say about 9 times in the circle, and that just keeps pulling the platform all around in a circle. Now this is my own little monorail, if you so want, if you wish to call it like that. I found this idea for just a platform that just keeps moving on Reddit. I don't remember the Reddit's user's name, but I really like the idea, and I already had the idea to mess around with these water wheels and the buttons since I found out that they can actually work together, so I was planning to make some stuff on it. The elevator is also pretty cool, but it's just kinda, I don't know, I don't really see some really useful application for it. By the way, just take a look at this setup. So this is actually one of the ways that you can actually have one water wheel that works for both a puller and a pusher. So you actually just have to have the water wheel push that button, and that button actually pushes those two buttons at the same time, and then they work, you know, if the magnetic blocks are far away, then the puller will pull, and otherwise the pusher will push. It's kind of mixing like an if coding thing happen, but just using a button and then immediately two arrows next to it. You know, it sounds very simple when I'm explaining, but it sometimes wants to work and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, I don't need this button actually here. That was just when I was trying to make it work. Now you don't always need one water wheel for each puller. So for example, over here I have this water wheel for two buttons. Now I may be using way too many buttons, but in all honesty, I still have to mess around a little bit more with it. I kind of have to test it a lot more just to understand it for myself. So we have the water wheel who's going to push this circle button. That circle button is of course connected to those two arrows, and that arrow goes all the way towards this square. Square activates the arrow. Arrow activates the square the arrow the circle, and circle the puller that is, well, it's standing on. And the same thing on the other sides. So if you actually want to work with a lot of buttons, you can actually make the entire setup that I have here work with just one water wheel. But you know, it kind of might get a little bit hectic, so it is doable. Let's just say that. You know, this flat area is where my old where I used the blueprint from Ben XC's All Rooms area. So this is entirely flat for that reason, and empty because I kind of destroyed it all since I didn't need it anymore. And you know, since then it actually has become this little place for experimentation with stuff for me. But that is pretty much it. Now I really like the monorail system. Now it is of course not really smooth because you have a lot of riding, and just, you know, it stops at a puller and then it gets pulled, and it has to wait for a second, and then it gets pulled again, and just kind of hectic. But I've been thinking about making a subway for my island, going between the three areas. But I don't think I'm going to use this system because it's very labor intensive, and it's also just very slow, but it's fun to mess around with. This might be a really cool kind of thing to mess around with when you're making a haunted house, like I did with that one. You know, just less focusing on design and more on experience. Or if you want to make something like a roller coaster but more experience and less speed, I don't know. But anyway guys, that's it. I probably made this video already much longer than I wanted to be, but I hope you found this interesting and useful. And you know, if you have any ideas on how to use this system, let me know down in the comments below. I'm really curious what your things and what your ideas are for applicating this little system. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.